Alright guys, so Pikals are kind of hard to come by. Not a lot of production knives are made. Spyderco makes a couple, and I think that's about it. I think Boker has a very small one that's not really suitable for anything. But a Pikal is of course a knife design in which instead of this being the primary edge, this is the primary edge on the back, made primarily for back cutting. So, aside from some customs and some hard-to-get knives like the clinch pick and stuff, you don't really have a lot of options. So I decided I would make my own. So first thing I did was just draw it up on some graph paper that's 1/4-inch squares, just to give me a little bit easier time getting some straight edges and stuff, and then figuring out my actual dimensions. Transferred it to some 15 and 20. That is .094 thick, and this heat treat's very similar to 1080, which I've done before, and I wanted something thin and light, so that this could be carried center line, not a lot of weight to it, and yeah, so I'm going to do a little follow along when building this. Probably going to have to do a lot of cutting and putting together, as I don't really have a tripod to film while I'm doing this, so it's probably going to be broken up in a bunch of pieces. Maybe I'll get some action shots of me working on it, maybe not. I might just have to cut in, explain what I'm doing, and then show you before and afters as I go. Either way, stay tuned, and hopefully you enjoy it. Alright, so I got my piece of steel clamped down here. I'm going to be using a cutoff wheel because my Dremel is burned up. So it's going to be cutting a little bit wider of a channel than I'd like, and I also can't make turns with it as quickly as I can with the Dremel. So I'm going to be probably like shooting like a straight line from there to there, so forth and so on. I'm going to have a little bit of extra scrap and stuff. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm going to start grinding, and I'll get back to you whenever I have it cut out. And just real quick, don't forget your ear protection, your gloves, and I'm wearing eye protection, of course. So, okay, so got it cut out. I left a fair amount around the edges because that cutoff wheel, there's a hell of a burr. So I want to be able to come in on the belt sander, which is the next step. But there it is. It took a little longer than I thought, just because I had to wait for the compressor to catch up every time I started draining it down. But there it is, rough cut, and off to the 2x42 belt sander. Alright, so I'm at the belt sander now. This is a 2x42 Craftsman. I've got a 50 grit on there, and I'm just going to remove material and leave some black all the way around the edges in order to give myself some play room. So right now I'm just going to rough it out, shape it, and get it ready for heat treat. Alright, this is where I'm at now after some more shaping on the belt sander, and using a little bit of a drum on the drill press. Starting to get close. Of course, this will be the edge. Still got a little more to do. Got to come up, essentially make that black line disappear. But getting close. Alright, so that's pretty much my overall shape. Do yourself a favor, use quality bits. The cheap Chinese ones I got from Home Depot were absolute shit. The front and the rearmost hole are 3/16 are going to be for my handle pins. And that's pretty much it. There's still, if you can actually see, a little bit of black. It's going to be just slightly larger than my original drawing, but it feels pretty good in the hand, so we're going to go with that. Alright, I'll get back to you once I start grinding a bevel. And I'm just using the 2x42 again to set in my bevel. I'm not doing any choil down here because that'll create a snag point, so it just lays in and then it'll be sharpened all the way out. Left myself a little bit of room in between the handle and where the blade will start, so I don't slide up and cut myself. And it is a chisel grind, because for this kind of a knife it doesn't really matter. And it'll also be a single bevel. There will be no secondary bevel. Well, that's at least the plan right now. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so this is French out of getting quenched. Just did the heat treat and quench, took it up to critical, and then dunked it in some canola oil. That's what I do with 1080. Get good results with that, and I've heard you can heat treat 15 and 20 the same way. Added a hole up here. This is actually going to be used for retention and whenever I press Kydex for it. So just heat treated and then scrubbed off the scale with some steel wool. There's still a little bit in some areas. So it's getting ready to go into the oven at 420 for 2 2-hour cycles, and you can see right here the quench line from when I dunked it. So I'll come back once I get it out of the oven. Alright, so this is where I'm at after heat treat. You can see the edge is a little bit scuffed up there. Went ahead and tempered it for 2 2-hour cycles, and I actually did it at 425, not 420. And using some Rockwell files for testing hardness. I'm 60 scratching pretty good, and then 55 is skating. But with how hard 60 scratching, my guess is this is probably around 56, 57 Rockwell, which is perfectly fine for what it's going to be doing. So I'm going to actually end this series of videos right here, and then I'll upload a part 2 where I actually finish the blade and handle it and everything. The reason I'm ending it here is because I'm not really sure what I'm going to do for a handle yet. I'm leaning towards canvas micarta, either black or natural, but I haven't decided yet. So if you got a suggestion, leave me a comment, and I'll check them out and go from there. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to part 2.